Multiple huge news items have just been confirmed by Elon Musk. You will want to pay attention to this episode. This is extremely important. And I watched a few polls, and all of them that I've seen missed a few important things about what I'm going to cover. So this is important. Starting with what no one has covered pretty much yet, I regret some of my posts about the president, says Elon Musk. They went too far. So this is obviously an official declaration of peace between the two. And now robotaxis, tentatively June 22nd, says Elon Musk, is when the first public rides are going to start. They're being super paranoid about safety, so the date could shift. And when you have that coming from Elon, almost definitely it is going to shift. And then Elon makes a huge announcement here. First Tesla that drives itself from factory end of line all the way to a customer house is June 28th. And then a lot of Tesla bolts are missing something that's quite important about this. Now, this is the first spotted Tesla Robotaxi, and it does have words Robotaxi on this black vehicle, and there's no one in the driver's seat. However, there are some key details that no one's talking about. I mean, the bulls. And I'm not talking about Gary Black admitting that a new era is starting. And remember, Gary Black just sold his Tesla stock recently. And before I point it out, I do want to say that these are unmodified Tesla cars coming straight from the factory, meaning that every Tesla coming out of our factory is capable of unsupervised self-driving. And absolutely 100% this is a historic milestone for Tesla. And for some of the critics that are saying that the current FSD version is not really quite good enough to be unsupervised in Austin, please know it's a new version of software, but it will merge to main branch soon. We have a more advanced model in alpha stage that has 4 times the parameters, but still requires a lot of polishing. That's probably ready for deployment in a few months, so I wouldn't expect anything significant before then. And a 4.5x increase in parameters should be ready for wide release later this year, which is when I would expect a huge improvement in our own personal Tesla vehicles with FSD. But now we need to address a few things that Tesla bulls are not really pointing out or addressing. This one is not that bad really, but there's another one that I think is crucial to point out to everyone. So here you can see that there is no one in the driver's seat. Now there's someone in a passenger seat, which of course, this is a robotaxi, so you would want someone in the passenger seat. That does make sense. But you can clearly see someone sitting in the passenger seat here. And what does that mean exactly? It's a passenger, yes. But I personally think there's a bit more to this story. The main thing is, see this white Tesla vehicle right behind this black robotaxi? Do you think that's just an accident? At first when I saw this, I didn't think much of it. And then I watched the clip over and over again. And then I'm starting to think, oh, I think there's actually, this is totally 100% on purpose, and I think there's a very good reason behind this that many Tesla bulls are not going to want to talk about it. And before I address it, I do want to make it very clear that my position has always been that the release of the robotaxis just by itself, especially if there are safety drivers, that to me doesn't mean much if there are safety drivers. Now in this case, when I first saw the clip, I was really excited because there was no driver in the driver's seat, but does it actually mean that there is no driver there? My position from before was very clear. If Tesla launches robotaxis all over and they are unsupervised, that is a big deal. And I'd like to add to that by that I mean I can get in a robotaxi and I can see what's going on. The moment I can do that in many different locations where we know for sure basically these are not using some tricks that I will go over, as long as these are not used, that will be the big moment. And just to be clear, everything that Tesla is doing right now, I'm fully supportive, but I think it is important to understand that there are a few caveats to what's happening right now. I did say before that the moment Tesla releases the first robotaxi, everyone is going to be jumping on board, celebrating, and it is a big deal overall. But to me personally, the big moment is going to happen when I know for sure that Tesla is not pulling off any tricks. And if you're new to the channel, just to be very clear, my whole stock portfolio is in Tesla stock. So I am extremely bullish on Tesla stock, and I believe Tesla is going to be the first company to scale FSD in a massive way. And even if Tesla is not the first one, I believe Tesla will be the first one to scale it in the cheapest, lowest cost possible way, which would then crush the competition totally. But my personal opinion is there's more to the second car than just a second car just to ensure the safety of this vehicle, as in if something goes wrong, there's a Tesla vehicle with a few people in it, let's say, to make sure that the situation is resolved immediately, which is really smart. Tesla should definitely do it. Tesla should definitely have a trailer car pretty much for all of its vehicles for now, because if something does happen, it's going to be a huge news story. So in no way am I criticizing Tesla in this case. I think they are doing 100% the right thing. And to explain what's going on, I think it's extremely relevant to know what Adam Jonas said after meeting with Tesla. He went to Tesla's Palo Alto office, and this article is published on May 16th, by the way. He wrote that Austin's a go, but the fleet size will be low. It's going to be public roads, invite only, plenty of teleoperation to ensure safety levels. We can't screw up, Jonas wrote. Plenty of teleoperation. While this is not coming directly from Tesla, this particular statement is coming from Adam Jonas, who spoke with Tesla, and I believe he will not say this unless Tesla actually did tell him that. And if you remember, back in November, we heard about Tesla's remote control team for robotaxis. We saw job listings specifically about this. And here's what the job listing said. And they specifically say that they need to work on lowering latency. Now, is there a person in this white Tesla vehicle doing complete teleoperations of this vehicle? I doubt it. Although it's in the realm of possibility. That person would probably need to sit in the back seat of that Tesla and hide from everyone, how the window's super tinted, but not just from the sides, also from the front. Otherwise, people are going to see what's going on. So I doubt there's an actual person sitting in the back of this white Tesla teleoperating this Tesla. However, if there's someone in this white Tesla that can easily accelerate or slow down this black Tesla, or maybe tell it to change lanes, or tell it roughly, okay, go right a little bit or go left just a tiny little bit, I wouldn't be surprised if there's someone with that capability in that white Tesla. And if there's no one in the white Tesla having any ability to control the black Tesla, then I'm pretty sure there's someone else sitting in an office, because we all know about that job posting related to teleoperations. And if you haven't been a Tesla stock investor since 2016, you may have no clue about this video here. A Tesla engineer, Ashok Elaswamy, who is now in charge of FSD development, testified that the video was created to show the system stopping at red lights and accelerating at green lights capabilities that the actual system did not have at the time. The video was part of Tesla's marketing campaign to promote its autopilot system. And I mean, if you haven't been an investor for this long, you might remember seeing a video where Tesla said the person in the driver's seat is only there for legal reasons. He's not doing anything. The car is driving itself. And back then, this video was mind-blowingly impressive, although now this is so routine. The car here, for example, turns a few times and things like that. And he also said that Tesla did the run multiple times and that the test drivers intervened on several occasions. And then that the intent of the video was not to accurately portray what was available for customers in 2016. It was to portray what was possible to build into the system. It was not to portray accurately what was actually possible at that time, because typically they would have interventions. What's my point with all of this? My point with all of this is, if I think there's a way for Tesla to pull off a few tricks, I think Tesla is doing it. But if Tesla releases a few hundred robotaxis and then a few thousand robotaxis in very different locations, and geofencing is relatively limited, then there's no way really to trick the system. If you have, let's say, 20,000 robotaxis, 100,000 robotaxis, at some point it just becomes too difficult. But for me, the biggest breakthrough is going to be when I sit in my own Tesla with FSD and I can turn it on and the car just drives without any interventions, no safety disengagements for, let's say, 20,000 miles, or let's say I go on a road trip from New York City to Los Angeles and back, and I have zero disengagements at all, and the whole way I feel completely safe. To me, that would be then the real breakthrough happens. Because I know when I turn on FSD in my Tesla vehicle, there's no teleoperator, there's no tricks being played. And at this point, I do understand why Tesla is thinking that FSD is getting good enough for robotaxis to be deployed, because when I was in Texas driving in my Tesla Model Y latest hardware 4, it was great. And seeing no driver in the driver's seat, that does give me extra confidence, certainly, that Tesla thinks that the current system is pretty good. However, seeing that safety car right next to it, I don't know. I just assume that Tesla is pulling off some tricks. If Tesla isn't, then that's great. However, Elon is saying something really interesting here. These are unmodified Tesla cars coming straight from the factory, meaning that every Tesla coming out of our factories, and watch this very carefully, is capable of unsupervised self-driving. If you look anywhere at Tesla's website right now, they are very clear that full self-driving is supervised. And Elon did not say that he's saying that these cars coming out of Tesla's factories will be capable of unsupervised self-driving later. The way he's saying this, you could interpret that currently, right now, your Tesla coming out of a Tesla factory with hardware 4 is capable of unsupervised self-driving today. I think Tesla's description of FSD on their website should be enough to protect Tesla from lawsuits, but this certainly opens Tesla to lawsuits for sure. If there is a crash or someone passes away on FSD, they are going to say, hey, look, he said the car was capable of unsupervised self-driving. By the way, just a matter of time before someone passes away on FSD. I mean, 40,000 people a year in North America pass away in car accidents, so it's just a matter of time. But also, this statement from Elon Musk is a statement of extreme confidence that the current hardware is that good, and that the software that they already have, which is not publicly available, I believe, is that good. So for the first time in quite a few months, we find out that Tesla does have a new, much more capable version of FSD software, probably ready to be deployed in a few months. Now, Elon's timeline, a few months, that's probably more like end of year. Then he explains, however, that to achieve this number of increase in parameters, there are a few things you gotta watch out for. Super fragile use of memory bandwidth, caching exactly what is needed, and squeezing microseconds out of everything are needed to maintain the frame rate. So basically, what I'm hearing is if he had better hardware, it would be much easier to make FSD work, and it would be working better. He also points out that the whole system needs to be retrained. Now, we know that Tesla Hardware 5 is scheduled to be released in the beginning of next year, and maybe they could push it to this year if they really push for it. And that, according to Elon Musk himself, is going to be 10 times more powerful than hardware 4. So if Tesla is squeezing microseconds out of everything right now using hardware 4, it might just be easier to try to get hardware 5 sooner. Also, Elon Musk is trying to recruit some new good talent. Tesla has by far the most advanced real-world AI. No one else is even close. Join us at Tesla AI. Now, interestingly, June 28th, which is when Tesla is going to deliver supposedly its first Tesla all the way to a customer house on unsupervised FSD, is going to be Elon's birthday. Now, my thinking is, if Tesla doesn't quickly add a lot more Robotaxis in Austin, it means a few things. Number one, maybe they are teleoperated and it's too hard to scale them that quickly. And when I say teleoperated, I don't mean teleoperated the whole time, 100% of the time. I mean, basically, just like what I'm doing when I'm sitting in a Tesla, it's on FSD, and then once in a while, let's say I intervene with a lane change. But then if, let's say, there is someone teleoperating them, does that mean it's really unsupervised FSD? If you don't quickly see a lot more Robotaxis, and by that I mean within a month or two, hundreds more, I will assume they are either teleoperated or the software that Tesla has right now that they are using to operate these Robotaxis is just not good enough. But remember, just to be clear, I believe Tesla is going to be the first company that will scale FSD in a way that is going to be lower cost than any other option. So regardless of what Tesla is doing right now, as long as they keep making progress, which I believe they are making a lot of progress, as long as that keeps happening, Tesla is going to win this race. And FSD is going to be crucial for Tesla, because if you look at some of the sales and deliveries for Tesla, they are not doing the best. Now, this last week in particular, we had a holiday, but if you look at some of the previous weeks, it's not looking exactly great in China, which is a pretty strong market for Tesla overall. But also there were tariff wars between China and the US, and the sentiment of Chinese consumers towards Tesla, I can't imagine how that would be helping the sentiment. And just in case you don't believe about the holiday numbers, everyone else is down in China. So this last week right here, it's not relevant. And James, who's pretty decent at predicting delivery numbers, He's predicting that right now deliveries are trending to 255,000 despite the mountain of incentives in all markets and the increased supply of the Model Y. The Model Y in Texas, I think we got that in like 3 days. Basically, there was no waiting. Kathy Wood recently did this new interview and she was asked, if you could only pick one stock, what stock would it be? She replied with, it would be Tesla if I had to give you one stock. It is a convergence among 3 of our major platforms, robots, energy storage, AI, and it's not stopping with robotaxis. There's a story beyond that with human robots, and our $2,600 number has nothing for robots. And Brett Winton from Ark Invest had a few words to say about what's going on right now. This lays out the path for the Austin Robotaxi rollout to scale more broadly. That the Austin build will merge into the main demonstrates this isn't a simple overfitting exercise. The advances there will yield broader advances in other cities. Additional parameters will allow the model to ingest and generalize against more data, perhaps required as Robotaxi stages into cities with very different driving cultures and weather and road environments. And then he suspects that the 4x parameter boost is up against the limits of the AI4 chip, and even then will require software and staging optimizations. What this also means is that they needed a better version than V13 for Robotaxi, so they put the consumer version on back burner. So I'm not really quite expecting any FSD updates in our personal vehicles, but I do expect the Robotaxi version to keep getting better because that's where all of the focus of Tesla is going towards right now. And of course, hardware 5 cars are going to be better than hardware 4 cars. But hardware 3, I believe, will still keep getting updates. It's just that with every update, it's going to get better, but it's not going to be as good, of course, as hardware 4. And then hardware 4 is not going to be as good as hardware 5. But as we have seen with V13, when that came out, it took a while for a new hardware 3 version to come out, but that still got significantly better. And by the way, look at what I found here. So Bradford Ferguson, he's running a firm investing people's money, and he's having a fight here with Gary Black. He says that his Model Y on FSD is already lesser than 1 true safety critical disengagement per 10,000 miles already today. And then he's talking about, I believe, either his employee or partner, Matt, and I, he continues, are at 1 per 12,000 miles combined. And JC's at none for 16,000 miles with version 13. Then Gary publicly doubts him, says, I doubt you're critically disengaging once per year when everyone else with FSD critically disengages twice per month on average. This is quite interesting. Now, this doesn't quite reflect my personal experience, however. I did drive quite a bit on FSD in Texas, and I certainly did not drive 10,000 miles. And as far as I recall, I did not have a safety critical disengagement. However, I did intervene a few times, for example, lane changes or just taking over when the car is doing something that I don't feel fully comfortable with, but it's not a safety related disengagement. It's just more, I know that this is not safer than human driving. So if I see a truck in front of me, a big semi doing weird things, and my vehicle comes closer to that vehicle, I'm going to take over because I don't feel quite comfortable driving behind a big semi truck. And one time I had a little stone basically be thrown from the tire of a semi, and then my windshield got cracked. So I would rather not repeat that experience. So I intervened multiple times like that, but would you call that a safety related disengagement? I personally wouldn't. And really, it's not even a disengagement because I would just ask the car to go to a different lane. So an intervention, yes. A disengagement, no. And I had a few times the vehicle go way too close to the sidewalk for my comfort, and I would be paying extreme attention and be ready to disengage at any moment. And I didn't have to disengage a single time when the car was driving like that, but oh boy, it was way too close for comfort. So if I would have driven another, let's say 2,000 miles, I think, my personal opinion, I would have had some sort of safety related event. But it is really impressive that Bradford had no safety critical disengagements for 10,000 miles. Crazy impressive. Now my hardware 3 Model 3 here in Vancouver City in Canada, oh boy, I definitely had quite a few safety related disengagements. It doesn't happen every day, but certainly at least 1 a month, 2 a month, for sure. But that's hardware 3. Now, Elon Musk made a prediction here. The streets will change very rapidly. Autonomous cars will be very common throughout the world in 2 to 3 years. Now, going back to Cathie Wood for a moment, Elon Musk believes the humanoid business will dwarf the robotaxi business, and Cathie Wood believes he's right. What does this mean? That means that Cathie Wood is inevitably going to massively increase the price target of Tesla. It's just a matter of time. So the $2,600 per share, that's going to go way higher later. Now, for those of us who have the latest hardware 4 version vehicle, the current version that's in the Tesla Robotaxi is a different version. And then a few months later, we should have another even better version. So realistically, for us to gauge the present capabilities of FSD, we will be late at least a few months if we only rely on the performance of our FSD in our vehicles. Some people are just going to have faith that what Elon Musk is saying and what Tesla is saying is correct, and some will be a bit more skeptical or will just choose to wait a little longer. All of my stock portfolio is in Tesla stock, so I personally, I choose to be a little bit more skeptical, but that doesn't change how I'm investing my money. All of my stock portfolio is in Tesla stock, but given Tesla's record where they, made things seem a bit better than what they actually are, I will not jump to be too extremely excited. However, at one point, what Tesla is doing, whatever they are saying and stating, is going to be 100% truly reflecting its current capabilities. And then when everyone realizes, yes, this is happening, Tesla stock is going to jump. Oh, we are now finding out why Elon Musk is actually apologizing to the president. Elon Musk reportedly spoke privately on the phone with the president on Monday night. And here's something that's a little hilarious, but it's somewhat serious because this is not the US. In an absolutely insane lawsuit, 10 French Tesla owners are suing Elon Musk because of his involvement in politics, hoping to have their leases voided, be repaid the cost of ownership, and receive additional money for damages. If the lawsuit was in the US, I don't think we have a chance of going anywhere. This is France, so I'm not familiar with the laws in France. I think it's not going anywhere, but you never know. So I asked Grok what it thought the chances of Tesla losing here were, and I was surprised. Grok thinks that there's a 25% chance of the people actually at least partially winning, meaning getting their leases terminated. But a 75% chance that the case would just be dismissed. So 25% chance, I think that's actually really high. I thought it would be more like maybe like 2% chance that they could partially win. Well, this is a bit of a bombshell. This is the CEO of Google. He says, just assume because it's Elon Musk, Tesla will succeed in making robotaxis. So the company that owns Waymo, the competitor of Tesla, the CEO of Google, owner of Waymo, says, yeah, Elon Musk is going to win. Well, that's quite interesting. Elon says, I appreciate the kind words. And of course, we are not seeing Tesla bears talk about any of this. This is, you could call this an admission of defeat to a certain extent, certainly. And I certainly agree with Dave Lee here. And when Dave speaks, you want to listen. If you are a Tesla stock investor, high likelihood, in my opinion, that Tesla signs an FSD licensing deal with at least one automaker by the end of the year. It will likely take a couple years for the automaker to actually integrate the FSD hardware and sell the car. Elon before said it would take about 3 years. From the moment the agreement is signed to the first car available for a customer to purchase, 3 years. Dave continues, but I think the announcement will be a surprise to most observers and analysts because this will be a new line of business for Tesla and not many people are expecting it to be announced so soon. If it does happen, I believe the stock is going to rally. Just like remember when Tesla announced a series of deals for supercharging and the stock sort of basically for practical purposes doubled. And I definitely agree here with Dave. The Austin Robotaxi launch could be the catalyst that gives other automakers the confidence to ink an FSD licensing deal with Tesla. Elon replied today saying the automakers keep being told that this isn't real or that just buying some hardware from NVIDIA will solve it. As Tesla robotaxis become widespread and their other solutions don't work, they will naturally turn to us. It's just a matter of time. And Omar dunked on Ros Gerber here. You guys see this one. Ros Gerber said, keep in mind, everything you're seeing on social media is an extreme exaggeration meant to cause an emotional reaction. But that's mostly just your account, Ros, says Omar. A good one here, Omar. That's a good one. And then there's one more post here from Elon. Tesla AI Autopilot could probably be the best human around a track already. Eventually, it really won't be a contest at all. Human reflexes cannot match machines. A track, yes, because it basically doesn't change. So that's too easy. This to me doesn't really mean anything. Oh, and I thought this was a bit funny. First time to see Waymo break free of their GFN zone. They are retreating out of LA. Because of the, all the stuff that's happening in LA right now. And also, Tesla just introduced a new promotion here. If you get a new Model Y rear-wheel drive in the US. Wait, what? Elon Musk retweets a post saying that Tesla will have 1 million robotaxis by 2026. Well, Elon is not directly saying it himself, but I think it's pretty safe to assume at this point that that's basically what he's somewhat predicting. Well, he's been predicting it for many years now, so one time he will be right, and hopefully it's this time, but we'll see. I'm not quite so sure about this. And on this one, I will be so happy to be wrong, by the way, just like how James was actually totally wrong about what Tesla has done. So see, this post is from February 5th, so a relatively recent post, and he's saying, judging by how Waymo executed Robotaxi, if Tesla follows a similar path, if Tesla launches a taxi service this summer in Austin, it can launch with a safety driver behind the wheel. I see this as a lot more probable than driverless to start. So James, that did not age too well for you. Although, teleoperations, that's a whole different thing. But we can say the same thing about Waymos too. Every single Waymo is teleoperated to a certain extent. In the meantime, Uber will trial Robotaxi's autonomous cars with no human safety driver at the wheel in London next spring. It will partner with the UK artificial intelligence firm Wave. And by the way, earlier, Sawyer did try to ask for a date. This is speaking of Robotaxi, like a specific date. A very, very specific date, which at that time we didn't have yet. And Tesla was extremely generous and actually gave more than one date. 3 dates, actually. Also, check this out. Elon Musk reposted this on his main timeline. And I think if you very carefully look at the background right there, you will somewhere see short sellers burning. And by the way, James admits here, credit where credit is due. Even if this Robotaxi launches with 10 cars in a 10 square mile area, it's still more than I thought they would be able to accomplish this year. Congratulations, Tesla. And Farzad here is totally right. Most people don't realize Tesla has been solving for self-driving for almost 10 years now. They keep harping on missed deadlines, but they're only missed because Elon was too optimistic. The reality is that in the last 10 years, Tesla has built a lead so vast it's almost comical. And almost all of it was completely hidden from the general public because the solution was so unique. So slowly at first, and then we are going to see robotaxis all over. Just give it some time. And Phil from Tesla here said, it's just a small step today. In hindsight, it will be the inflection point. So many people are saying, including Dylan Loomis from Electrified, this is a huge day indeed. And for me, I've seen this coming years ago. I kept saying this is just a matter of time. So for me, this day is actually, it's not that special because I was expecting this for years now. And what I really want is to see FSD improve so much that I can drive places without any interventions. And if you know, you know. This is Photoshopped for now, but I'm not so sure it will be Photoshopped, a Photoshopped picture by the end of the year. And here's something interesting. Musk's public clash with Trump likely calculated, says Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley suggests that the clash is a calculated strategy to draw attention to the U.S. fiscal issues, a top priority for Musk. Well, that's quite an interesting take. And also, they reiterated their $410 price target for Tesla stock. Dylan thinks he can make a solid argument for both sides, but he's sticking to the story that it was not staged. I personally think it wasn't staged. Right now, we are definitely going through quite a historical moment for Tesla. And really, I think the real historic moment, actually, if you think about it, happened when the first version of V12 was demonstrated to us. Do you remember that video, that live stream of Elon Musk being in the car and live streaming V12? To me, that was really the the bigger breakthrough than what we are seeing today. But today, officially, that is going to be the historical moment because the first Tesla Robotaxi is now on the roads. And I believe that Tesla stock is going to $1,000 per share. And then after that, well above it. My name is Matt Potius, and I will be back with the next video probably on Friday.